What did I try to tell you, PlayStation fanboys, man? Worry about your own platform because look at it. Concord has failed. And for all the ponies that are in this community talking about how they would have supported the game on Twitter, then where you people at now? Oh, I forgot. You're too busy pre-ordering that new Call of Duty Black Ops 6 and getting ready for Indiana Jones in spring of 2025. This is embarrassing, man. We try to tell you, ponies, man. Oh, you just an 8-ball fanboy. Nope, we try to tell you. We try to tell you that Sony can't do multiplayer games, and look what happened. Let's go.
Concord, despite it being a massive misfire, there's
Woo! Let him know. Talk to him.
No denying
Talk to him, miss.
The game's not for me. It's not doing well. I would rather have that than this sort of other answer that I'm seeing people shoot out there in light of
Let's hear it.
Going, well, why don't they just revisit an IP, an older IP like...
Woo! And you know what's even more crazy about that? Those games weren't even successful when they came out. What makes you people think that by revitalizing Mad, Killzone, and Zocom that that's going to do anything? They weren't even a market when these games dropped on the PlayStation 3. Okay? Sony tried this already, man. And what's even more laughable, they were actually pretty good games that just didn't catch on, unfortunately.
You know, SOCOM or Resistance or Killzone.
Talk to him.
What about MAG or Warhawk, right? And I can't shake off the feeling that that is such a bad idea.
Woo! Let's go. I know you ponies are upset. What, you going to call him an Xbox fanboy too? This is Mystic. He's one of the biggest PlayStation fans in this community, man. And he's telling you that it wouldn't make sense for Sony to revitalize their old online franchises. Let's go. GameStop, what another W.
Like asking for something that you clearly don't want.
Woo! Let's go. Just like y'all don't want to play your exclusives and instead you rather play Xbox games.
It's a worse outcome. I would rather have investment into an outside new studio than external.
Well, at that point, then they're going to continue to fail. Then, unfortunately, Mystic, because at the end of the day, people are already locked into the multiplayer games that they're playing. It is what it is, man. I try to tell you guys that the gaming market has shifted, but for some reason, you guys still think it's the Sega Genesis.
IP, again, whether it lands or not, is its own isolated thing. I'll always vouch for new IP, even if it does turn out.
But the sad part about it, though, that these multiplayer games that Sony has offered during the PS3, a lot of them were very enjoyable, though. And I think that's the sad part about it. If anything, if Sony want to remaster some games, remaster these, man. Make these games playable again through the PS5, because I personally feel that these games need the love and attention, man. Because I would be quite happy to see Resistance come back in some form of a remaster so we can play the online again, man. You still can on PS3 through, private servers or whatever, which I actually have been doing. But, man, I want to see an official release from Sony.
But, I would rather see that outcome.
I mean, come on, man. This gameplay still looks good. This looks far better than Concord. And this game came out in 2006.
Versus a well-known single-player studio now tied up in live service, and also they're taking a beloved franchise that people know as a single-player game and it being turned into live service. We don't want that. How are we even humoring the idea that would have been...
Well, what about the days where Sony can bring out a single-player game as well as multiplayer? That's what Killzone, that's what Resistance, that's what these games were. You know what I'm saying? And you got to thank Gears of War, because they always try to up the ante with the Horde mode and actually providing more content throughout the years with Gears of War. Horde mode, Beast mode, campaign, multiplayer. I would go as far to say that Halo was one of the first few online games that did that. It's more than just a team slayer. It's more than just playing the game as a free-for-all. You can do much more with your gaming experience. I remember with Halo 3, you could share videos, you could make your own levels, you could do all these incredible things. So obviously gaming has been expanding way beyond that point, and I think a lot of you people don't want to admit it.
A better outcome, right? And we know Sony does cancel projects. They are
let them know, because for some reason, Mystic, it only seems like Xbox do it. But go ahead.
Do this. They just recently had a culling of their portfolio, and one of them in there was a Twisted Metal live service game at Firesprite. Also, The Last of Us Online, which that is our one big example where there is some kind of alternate timeline out there.
About time PlayStation fanboys become honest.
Where they went ahead and got that game out the door, and then they turned into a live service studio, and then they never had the resources ever again to do single-player games.
And y'all really think that Sony's going to be able to continue with a PlayStation 6 and a 7 when they don't even have the resources to make you multiplayer games now? Exactly.
Right. I'm not sure if that's really what we want when we think about the answers to Concord, or what Concord should have been, or if Sony's going to do multiplayer, it should be X, Y, and Z thing.
I mean, at this point, I kind of would prefer, the only thing I'm going to disagree, to see these old franchises come back, because to be honest, at least if these games are out there, it'd be more enjoyable. You know what I mean? These new ones that Sony got going on, they're just trash, bro. You feel me? And I get it, SOCOM confrontation, and a lot of these games didn't do well. But personally, I enjoyed playing them. So it's like, from a gamer's perspective, yes, but we already know it's not going to last very long. That's why Sony shut the servers to a lot of these games. I mean, it's crazy that Gears of War from the Xbox 360 is still playable online. But yet, a lot of these games are not, unless you do through private servers or whatever.
That maybe sounds good in theory, but we all know would maybe not pan out all that well.
It's not.
I mean, that's
why Sony. You don't think Sony has thought about that, guys? Like, hey, man, maybe we should revitalize. I mean, MAG. I mean, come on now. MAG would be perfect for today's gaming demographic. But the problem is, you got games like Warzone that already have 100 players on the map. You feel me? I mean, so these things were incredible back in the days, but they're not really special anymore, if that makes sense.
Problem here is that Sony still just doesn't really talk nearly as much as they used to nowadays.
Let them know. Talk to them, miss. Talk to them.
Pipeline. We're expecting them to finally say something fairly soon for either a state of play or a showcase.
Wow.
I mean, I'm seeing some argue that, hey, maybe if they did talk more about the single player games, then Concord wouldn't feel as much of a burn. And I think that's fair. But it's always like the same argument we make, which is the problem is Sony doesn't talk nearly as much anymore.
And why is that the case, Mystic? Because Sony don't have nothing to show.
Because they don't show up to Paris Games Week, TGS.
Exactly. You know why they don't show up anymore? Because they don't have anything to show you guys, man. Anybody that picked up... It's so funny that you guys say that anybody that picked up an Xbox, you guys got scammed. It's starting to look like anybody that's picked up the PS5 got scammed. Because we already know what we're getting with Xbox. And at this point, you guys are getting some Xbox titles. That just goes to show you that the PlayStation 5 is in desperate need of some help. I don't think Microsoft wants Sony to go under. They need Sony to stay afloat. They don't want these other companies coming in here buying up everything. Microsoft, I really do think that Microsoft is saving the PS5. They are, because they need that competition. Because if Sony is not here, then all those big time companies with those big pocketbooks, they coming in here and they're going to outbid Microsoft on something. And that's not going to end well for the gaming community. I'm just letting you guys know right now. So I do think that Microsoft is putting these games on PlayStation 5 because, which is kind of sad though, honestly, because they need the system to stay afloat. They need it. Y'all like, why would Microsoft do that? Because when you have less competition, and I'm not saying competition amongst each other, then Google, all these companies can come in and just open up their pocketbooks and just start buying up everything. Microsoft don't want that. They want to acquire everything that they need, and then at that point, they're like, okay, whatever happens to Sony happens to them. But as of right now, currently, they do need Sony afloat. That's why they were all on stage with each other, because they understand that where the direction of gaming is going with how expensive it's becoming, they need each other more than anything. They do. Y'all want to sit there and deny it like there's some console war going on, and there's no console war. Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo are all working together to keep these other companies out. That's what you people don't understand. When y'all sit there and say, oh, they bought Bethesda and Activision, they were bidding. What do you people don't understand? Microsoft just put the highest winning bid. When you bid on something, that means there's other people bidding on that intellectual property. They want it. Like, come on, man. It's either you wanted Microsoft. It's either this. I look at it like this. It's either you prefer Tencent or Apple or Google or whoever to get Activision and Bethesda, or Microsoft. Microsoft already has PC gaming. Microsoft has done a lot of things for PC. It only makes sense. Why, as gamers, would you guys hate the fact that Microsoft acquired Activision and Bethesda when they're continuing to put games on your own platform? You want a Google Stadia situation? You want Google to buy these things and force you to get the Stadia and force you to play these games through streaming and cloud? Which Microsoft is trying to do as well. But as of right now, no. Microsoft is saving the gaming industry, and they're saving your own platform.
Gamescom, E3, these were always press events that we could count on them showing up, and they would always talk about something, and nowadays they just simply do not do that.
Woo! Let them know, miss. Because as a PlayStation fan, I've been severely disappointed. I don't care what the hardware. Go ahead, bro, you guys say this the hardware. I don't care, bro. The hardware means nothing to me if you have no games, man.
That's an issue too that really gets into a separate topic. But I think we'll just end it here, right? I think I've gotten to the primary point, which is, look, they're not going to stop, but they've gone about it in a way where if we're going to have a big financial disaster, I guess this is how
They're willing to risk it on an online game because all they're hoping for that Halo 2 moment what they had with the original Xbox. That's all they're hoping for. They thought Helldivers 2 was. They try to force that online connectivity with the account from PlayStation, and PC gamers weren't behind it. I'm telling you, man, I do think that Sony should capitalize on the Nintendo Switch market. There's a huge market there. You guys always complain, oh, Concord, they put in it doesn't make sense. It's too much competition. You know what I mean? Which are all fair arguments. So why isn't Sony trying to cater to Nintendo? Nintendo gamers well, they do have Overwatch or whatever. But I'm saying, appeal these games to Nintendo gamers. One, there's a huge audience. One, they got a group of gamers that are not really hardcore like that. Like, they're not up to par with Xbox and PlayStation. Get them up to that, man. Put your old online games on Nintendo Switch. Do it. With multiplayer, I can guarantee you they would be successful and have crossplay between PS5. And we know they're going to lock it away from Xbox, but who cares? Capitalize on that market. Because for all you people say, oh, they can't bring up Killzone because, the market is oversaturated with these games. But listen to what you said. Is it oversaturated with the Nintendo Switch? It isn't. Put Killzone, put a God of War, old school, put all those games on Switch. I'm guaranteeing you they will do well. Because Nintendo gamers are very nostalgic. They never experience games like Killzone and a Resistance. I'm telling you, these Nintendo gamers will gravitate towards it. And on top of that, you can also drop them on PlayStation. We know they're going to find a way to exile Xbox, even though they drop it on PC. But that's fine. At least Sony's capitalizing on another market. And I do think Lego Horizons will be that game that they're seeing. Because what companies like to do, they like to throw out little teasers to see how well something does, and then more comes. It's like what they did with Hi-Fi Rush and Sea of Thieves. And Microsoft said, oh, okay, these games actually did better than we thought. We're going to put some more. It is what it is, man. These companies are tired of losing money. And as much as you people want to say, oh, my feelings, they don't get paid for your feelings. They don't. You people are hurting the gaming industry because you expect these companies to work these 8 years of their life and don't get anything. I really do feel bad for the people that made Concord. They dedicated their life 8 years, man, with a AAA budget and is getting nothing back in return. And you people want to say that that's more beneficial to gaming than if they just put it on Game Pass or something like that. You people that are stuck in the past is hurting the gaming industry, and I will continue to say that as an old school gamer because I know the direction of where gaming is.
I would have preferred it to happen versus maybe some of the other answers that are floating around out there. No matter what, even if new IP fails, I want new IP. So
then Mystic, then it's a failure. So there's nothing Sony can do. The only thing Sony can do is to try to capitalize on the Nintendo Switch audience, man. Come on, bro. Like, where's the real Sony fans that'll be like, yo, you know what, Gamester, you're right. Maybe they could revitalize these games under Nintendo's management, and I do think that Nintendo gamers will support it. Bro, you don't think Nintendo Switch owners will go crazy for a Warhawk? Because y'all comparing it to the Xbox. Of course, there's nothing too special between Xbox and PC, but Nintendo gamers don't got nothing like that. Imagine if you put a mag on the Nintendo Switch, people gonna like, whoa, we ain't got nothing like this. But you're putting these games in comparison to Xbox and PC, and people are like, I'd rather just go play Overwatch. I'd rather just go play Paladins. There you go. I'm telling you, Sony needs to tap into that Nintendo Switch market, and you PlayStation fanboys need to go up to them and tell them that. Tell them, because I can see the potential there. I can.
So I hope this doesn't deter them from doing more new IP, even if it is, live.
What new IPs have they come up from, bro? Listen to yourself. Last of Us Part 1, rebuilt from the ground up. Last of Us, decent, bro, what is you talking about, bro? Sony ain't even been doing games for themselves, bro. We haven't heard of a sequel for any of these games, man. Like, come on, man.
Service games.
They're dependent on second and third party studios to make games for them.
For me, but I would rather...
Sony hasn't done anything of their own, really, besides Insomniac.
Then, doubling down on familiar IP that has to get turned into something that we make. maybe would not.
Well, it doesn't matter. I don't care, bro. Take the gamble. Take the gamble. I don't care, man. At this point, Sony needs anything. It's better than this Concord stuff, man. I really do think if they did a live service subscription for Killzone, it would have did far better than what we see with Concord. So you cannot sit there and say that you would prefer what they're doing now in comparison to what I'm saying. But like I said before, y'all want to see Sony do good? Sony can capitalize on them Nintendo Switch suckers, put Sly Cooper, put God of War, put Killzone, put Resistance with online, have them crossplay between both platforms and both devices. Completely forget about Xbox because that's how Sony is anyway. There you go, and PC. So Sony can capitalize on the PC. And think about what I'm saying. Hold on. See, because you people not understanding. Check this. See, I know gaming. Y'all don't know gaming. Even Mystic. You got a nice game collection. I respect that, bro. But you don't know gaming more than me. You can't articulate gaming the way I can. So think about it. You want Sony to be Microsoft, y'all? Okay. Think about it. Microsoft is capitalizing on PC. Well, they kind of capitalize on everybody, kind of. But they haven't tapped into the Nintendo Switch. That would be Microsoft's downfall, right? It's not a downfall, but I'm saying this is in comparison to what I'm saying. Sony they got the PS5 with the hardware sales. Check, right? Capitalize into the Nintendo Switch. That's the hardware sales. They got a lot. Think about it. So let's say about 70 million on PS5 and about 140 million on Nintendo Switch. That's close to 200 million people. Okay? Check this out. Then you're having PC. Sony just completely expanded on everything just by doing that. So when y'all sit there and say, oh, my console outsold it. But think about it. When you merge, that's what Microsoft, and this is whole Microsoft's vision. When you're merging your games and your ecosystem into other people's platforms, like PC, Xbox, whatever platform you choose to do. See, now the problem is with Xbox, that's not going to help Sony because there's not that many people that play on Xbox. There's like 30 million. But Nintendo Switch, PC, which they are doing, right? That's a lot of platforms, man. All they got to do is add Nintendo Switch to that, which I think they are doing with Lego Horizons, which is a start. They need to keep doing more of that. Actually, they put even MLB on the Switch too. So Sony got to keep doing that. If Sony, oh, you know what? Hold on. Uh-oh, y'all like Gamester, man. You came prepared today. What am I saying? Huh? They already did it. Yeah. Tumba? That's a Sony IP. And that's on the Nintendo Switch. Oh! Gamester with another W. There you go. You see how I can break things down? So Sony's already putting games on other platforms, and they're continuing to do so. So Lego Horizons is nothing new. You get what I'm saying? But like I said, Sony has to put the full potential in it. Stop doing these little half projects, these projects that were not really... Because it's like Sony's scared. It's like they don't want to put their bigger projects in because if they do, then at that point they see in themselves there's no need for a console platform. You feel me? Which is where Microsoft is trying to go with this. So that's why Sony's scared. That's why they're doing little minuscule games. Oh, we got the Tumba, Lego Horizons, you know what I'm saying? But we're not going to put out God of Wars and stuff, and it's only hurting Sony. Sony's going to have to do it, man. I mean, at this point, they're already third party anyway. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Like I said, man, I think this was a very interesting take, and you guys know, please continue to support the realness in this community. Peace out.